Hello, everybody. Welcome to Breakthrough Live. I'm going to give everyone a chance for all the people in the waiting room to file in here. And while I do that, before I do anything else, I'm going to introduce Kelly Bojarski. She's with us today. And she's going to be in the background answering questions. And if she has questions that she thinks would be beneficial for me to answer live, she's going to bring them up to me. So please use the Q&A on that for her. She will check out the chat, but the chat's more for you to kind of talk to each other. In fact, hop in the chat, say hi, let us know where you're from, and all that good stuff. But if you really want something answered and bring it to her attention and mine, the Q&A is the way to go on that as well.
And just to add to that, Heather, there's a little button with the heart on it right in the middle of your Zoom controls. That's the reactions button. And I want to point that out because it's so helpful for Heather and I to see those little emojis flying when something that we have shared with you really hits home. Or, you know what? If you need clarification or it's like a thumbs down moment, it's okay. We got our big girl pants on. We could take that too. But we really, really are motivated by those reactions. So please feel free to use those throughout. So it's sort of a point of engagement for us. And also share those moments in the chat. So Heather, I'm going to go off screen. If I pop back on camera, you know I've got something to add.
Awesome. Thanks, Kelly. All right, you guys, I'm going to share my screen real fast. Um, and there we go. So I want to welcome everyone to Breakthrough Live. This is the first session of our August series, and our August series is all about smart campaigns. So today we're doing it's been a day already. Today we're going to talk about ditch the cookie cutter, making the BoldTrail default campaign sound like you. Okay. We've got a few other things happening this month, and I just want to say if you're registered for today, you've registered for the whole month. We do a new link, a new registration link every month. So if you're here today, wonderful. You have already registered for the whole month. And so next week we're going to be talking about using the advanced editor, which is going to be cool. The third Wednesday, we're going to be talking about date-based campaigns and staying in touch with people and not missing any milestones. And the last Wednesday, which is very cool, it's usually my hack one, the last of the month. We're going to be talking about kind of going past just the regular stuff and adding video to your campaigns, adding ringless voicemails to your campaigns, Zapier steps to your campaigns, all those next level things for your campaigns. So I highly recommend that you don't forget. You'll get an email a day before and an hour before the session with the link to join. So make sure you don't miss any of those. Okay. If you are watching this later on YouTube, just so you guys know, we do post these up to YouTube. Usually takes me a day to get them, edited and loaded in, but they are on YouTube. And so if you're watching this later on YouTube and you want to come to these live, please go ahead and scan the QR code and register for the rest of the sessions for this month, or it will automatically change in future months. So please come live with us. Okay, so today we are talking about, the one thing I forgot to do. I'm going to give this to you guys before we do anything else. So here is your resource guide, and I'm going to share this with the group. So I'll put this in the chat. Let's get this going to everyone. So this is your resource guide, and we're going to do some AI prompts. So I have the AI prompts in here, but I wanted to make sure everybody got this before we got started. So if you are watching this later on YouTube, these AI prompts should be in the description of the video. All right. So everybody has that before we get going. Okay. So why are we customizing our campaigns? Well, guys, I want to just say that you're going to say, well, BoldTrail has default campaigns already in there, and they do, and I'm going to show you where they are and how to turn them on. But if you are sending out the default campaigns, understand this. We wrote those campaigns. In fact, I wrote those campaigns. But we had to make them crazy, crazy generic because if someone in New York has to be able to use them just like somebody in Florida, just like somebody in California. And so you have different markets, you have different niches, you have all this different stuff. And you can't use something super niche because it has to work for everyone. And the other thing is, guys, If you came to my first breakthrough session that we did, we talked about email deliverability. These are being sent out by all the agents in BoldTrail. Okay, so if someone has a BoldTrail account, they've got the defaults and they're sending it. So you're sending the same stuff that everybody else is sending. All right, so it's a great starting point. I'm not, if it's between no campaigns and the default campaigns, by all means, default campaigns all the way. But if you can take the time to customize your campaigns, it will pay dividends. And what kind of dividends is it going to pay? Well, first is if you put actual geographic and neighborhood information in your campaigns, you're going to lift your open rate by about 21%. That's huge because the industry standard for open rates is if you have a 30% open rate, that's considered really good. And so if you can lift that by another 20%, that's huge. Okay. Um, Also, if you put things like their name, if you location, different tailored needs, just tailoring stuff in the headlines will also lift your open rates by about 20 to 50%. Separating your sellers and your buyers, so sending stuff that makes sense for why they came. Are they a seller? Are they a buyer? Definitely gives you a higher open rate and reduces your unsubscribes. And last but not least, if you're doing a welcome sequence, you want that the initial open rate is really high when you get to them really fast, speed to lead, right? And we know this. So that's why in the defaults, we have an immediate text message that goes out, but you want to get these leads, while they're fresh. And if you don't have a campaign running, what happens? Well, you might not get to them. You're in the middle of 10 showings and you got 5 new leads and you didn't get back to them in that first few minutes because you couldn't, right? You're only one person. But if you have your campaigns on, you're able to go ahead and get speed to lead with those campaigns. I am not going to go into the basics of campaigns today because we're talking about customizing them. But if you're new to campaigns, if you have never, you looked at them before and you don't know what's up, I want to give everybody kind of a baseline that we're going to start out with. And if you really want to dive into it and you want to learn more, we have a skill building session. Let me find the link to that right here. I'll put it in the chat for you. I think it's happening in is it next week, Kelly? I think. You
It
can
is
sign up.
August 10th, I believe, is the next one. We've got two basic sessions that are being live and ran by our product trainer. And the next one, I believe, is August 10th.
Yeah. So be sure to do that. That link is also on the resource doc. Okay. But what is a campaign? Well, a campaign is a multi-touch automated sequence, and it has emails, text messages, call prompts, tasks, all, over a certain amount of time to keep in front of and nurture your contacts. What is a template? A template is the reusable message that you're sending. So it's an email, a task, or a text message that you're sending. And the way I like to describe it is the campaign is the building and the templates are the building blocks. So you have to build your campaign with those template blocks. Okay? Then our campaigns have a few other things. One is a trigger. So you don't have to put a trigger in your campaigns. You can leave it off, which means it will never run unless you manually add it to a contact. But you can have a trigger to start automatically or automagically, as Kelly likes to say, when certain things happen. And it has to be, it could be a combination of or one of like a status, source, a hashtag, but it also has to fit the designed for. What does that mean? It's the lead type. So buyer, seller, renter, vendor, agent. One of those types has to fit both of those criteria and then it will run automatically. Okay. And I'll show you when we get in there, it'll make a little more sense. But I just wanted everybody to have this baseline to understand before we go into making the customizations. We have those default campaigns in there. They're called system. Probably, depending on when you got your platform, and we'll talk about it when we get in there into the platform. But there are a few things that we did when we made these campaigns that are super important. So are they cookie cutter? Yes. But do they have things that are very important in them? Also, yes. So if you're making your own, you might want to go ahead and make sure all of these things are in yours. Or you can take the ones we have, which is what we're going to do today, and edit them so you have all this stuff in there, but we're just going to edit them to make them sound like you. And that's the plan for today. Okay. So the first thing is they're built for speed to lead. We have an immediate text message that goes out as soon as someone signs up at your website or when the lead hits from whatever lead source you might have funneling into your CRM. The second thing we did was when we wrote them was we did them in a conversational format that was short. Guys, people are not going to read a 5 paragraph email that you send to them. They don't know who you are. Like, that's not happening. You want short, sweet to the point, and you want open-ended communication so that there's a reason for them to respond to you. Ask them a question, hit reply, like whatever it is, you want them to be able to respond to you, and it gives them an impetus to answer a question and respond. The next thing we did is we did it all in plain text. So next week we're going to talk about the advanced editor, which is great in some situations. But when you are emailing someone for the first time, and if you came to my email deliverability, we talked about this. Your first email matters so much, your first few emails actually, because what it is that if you put a bunch of HTML and links and pictures and pretty things in your emails, and that's the first thing that they get, they're probably never going to see it because their email provider is going to say, this looks real spammy to me. Woo-hoo, we're sending it over into the spam folder. We're not even going to deliver it into the inbox because it just looks really weird. You don't want any links in there, any of that stuff. Okay. Um, the other thing we do is we put call reminders in. Drip emails, text messages, those are all great things, but nothing beats a phone call to these folks, okay? And they will have already heard from you via text and email, so it's a great time to like follow up. So there are call reminders in our campaigns. There are also manual touch tasks in our campaigns. There are things like, hey, text them a handpicked listing that they might be interested in, right? Because as you know, again, if you came to my deliverability session, your open rates for things like manual emails or manual text messages are much higher than a campaign or even a search alert because it's a manual thing. It's very specific to them and what they're looking for. Okay. And last but not least, we have completion and transition handoffs. Why is this important? It's really important because when someone's on a drip campaign and they're getting follow up, and then the drip campaign ends, and then they're just like floating out there in the ether, like, what's happening? If you don't know that they're not on a campaign anymore, you don't know that they're not on a campaign anymore. So we do one of two things. Either we set up a last minute task. So when it ends with a task that says, hey, this person's campaign ended. You need to pick a better campaign or pick your next action. Or it changes the status for you automatically so that it will trigger the next campaign. And you will see that when we go through here, when you have the default buyer campaign, which is the new lead campaign, then at the end of that, at 30 days, it switches them to prospect because they're not new anymore. They're 30 days old, and it will automatically kick off the prospect campaign. So those are really important automations to build into your campaigns, and our system campaigns have all of these. And so that's why I'm recommending today that if we're going to make them sound like you, instead of starting from scratch, instead of, having to build your campaign on your own, you can take the campaigns we've already built for you that have all this great stuff in them and just change the wording in the text and the emails so that it is going to sound like you. You're going to get better open rates. You're going to get better responses. Okay? Okay. Yay, let's do it. So let's go to, I'm going to pop my platform over here. And I want to head into the marketing tab and smart campaigns. Alternatively, you can just type in smart campaigns up here and it should take you here. So if you are a company admin, I don't know if we have any admins with us today, you're going to have access to company, you're going to have access to your office, you might be a team admin. So there's different scopes. And so understand that the scopes make a difference when you're doing these campaigns. If you are an agent and you have the system campaign in here and the scope is company, you cannot edit this because what it would do essentially if you edited it, it would edit it for the whole company. If you're an admin though, and you would like to go in and edit it for the whole company because you want your company to have these defaults that are already customized to the area, that you guys serve, your mission statement, all that good stuff. This is a great way to do that. It's a great value add for your agents to go in and do this for them. Okay. But if you are an agent and all you see is company, you've got to make your own. So this is a great place to also show if you don't see system, if you see core, this is the same as system, except it was back when we used to be KV core. So we changed it to system. Okay, so if you have core, it's the exact same thing, so you don't have to worry about it. If you don't have core and you don't have system, then you need to go get these campaigns because you're probably using like super crazy old campaigns and I don't recommend. All right, that's real old. So the easiest way to get them and the easiest way to get your own version of them is to get them out of the system library. So if you go to system library and click on it, and then you type in system and search, and click last, here are your system campaigns. And if you add them to your library, they will come in scope to you as the user. Okay, so that's the easiest way. You can clone the ones that are company if you want to. And maybe your company has already like done some customization or they have campaigns that they really want you to use. You can clone them. But the easiest way to drop them in is just to click add to library. So if you go back one, here's your active buyer, add, add, just keep clicking add, and they should all drop in to uh, your campaigns. And this Sphere homeowner one here, guys, is don't use this one or this one, only 2026. 2026 is the newest one, and it's just basically like a homeownership tip once a month. Okay. All right. So now, next. Actually, I'm a big fat liar. They came in as company for me. Let's take it back. If you're an admin, don't do this. Let's go back to system. My bad. You want your scope up here to be you, and then you can add them to your library if you are an admin. If you're an agent, it's not going to matter at all. Okay, so I'm going to add them in again so that they're scoped to me, Heather, not the company. Okay. Now I'm going to go back to my campaigns. See, now I have the user one right here. So this is what you want. You want the scope to say user, or you're not going to be able to edit it unless you are an admin. Kelly, do we have any questions so far? I just want to make sure that I didn't confuse everybody right there.
We do. We had a
Okay.
couple coming in chat. Remember, everybody, they'll get lost in the chat. I'm just telling you right now, they're going to get lost in chat because there's a lot of comments going on in there. Make sure that you put any questions you want me to ask Heather in the Q&A. Okay. Um, but one of them that came in that I thought was really important to clarify is, and this is from Aaron, hey, are the system campaigns different than the core campaigns,
Exactly the
like
same.
core active buyer?
Core and system are exactly the same. We wrote these campaigns back when we were branded KV Core. And so when we switched from KV Core to BoldTrail, we changed them to system instead of core, but they are exactly the same. So if you have core, you're just fine. You don't need to go in and find the system ones.
Great. Okay. And then Scott says here in Q&A, I see system playbooks and dashboard, but no library. So maybe if you could just review I see it right here. I'm thinking, Scott, maybe if you're not seeing it, either you're not looking in the right place or it's maybe buggy on your site. I'm not sure, but it's pretty
So if you
simple to
go up
get
here
to
and
from the
just
Omni search.
type in campaigns and go to marketing smart campaigns, it should take you to this page where you have my campaign system library and templates. It sounds like you're in a different area of the platform. Okay. So anything else, Kelly?
I'm just answering a couple of them in the chat.
I do see in the chat, why do we have to type in systems? Because in the system library, there are 8 gajillion campaigns in here. Okay,
There
there's so
are.
many, and there's all our old ones are in here. There are a bunch. Like if you look at this, there are like 40 some, I mean, there's a lot. So if you type in system, it will get you to, because they're in alphabetical order is the thing, right? So you just want to get to the ones that are system to be able to add them to your library.
And that's important to note. And I know Heather's going to cover it later. So this is like a sneak peek. But when it comes to making your own campaigns, keep in mind how they're structured, the architecture of them, and how you go searching for them. We call them naming conventions. What you name your smart campaign matters because I can't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday. So I'm not going to remember the name of a smart campaign that I created today, 6 months from now. So Heather's going to go over that. I know she will. So I'm just teasing up for future content.
Absolutely. And I got a question about cloning them. You can clone them. So if you are in my campaigns and you see them scoped to company, you would have to clone them and to be able to edit them. But you don't have to clone them if you just pop them out from the system library. So the library has them all. And when you add from the library, if you're scoped to yourself, they will be editable by you. You don't have to clone them. They just come in. If you want to clone them, you can. Let me find one that is like a company one. You could clone them from here, but you have to go through a few steps to clone them, and it's just way easier to go into the library and add them to your library, scope to you, and you don't have to do any cloning whatsoever. Okay? I see someone says that I have some that say user, some that say company. What I'm telling you is that if they say company, and the best way to do this is you can do this by scope right here. So if you do it once, you're going to see your company ones first. And if you do it again, you're going to see your user ones. The company ones are fine to use, but you can't edit them. Okay, so turn them off. So this toggle, make sure they're off and do your user ones after you go to the system library and pull them in. I hope that makes sense to everybody.
And we did have one question. It's probably from an admin. If you are looking as an admin in your account, how do they differentiate between their account and another entity's smart campaigns?
So when you go to my campaigns and you are an admin, as you can see, I'm an admin. I see all the campaigns. I see the ones that are user. I see the ones that are company. The ones that you personally have turned on are the ones that will run for you personally. Okay. If you want to see what only the company has, you have to go up to your scope and you say, this is the only ones that are at the company. Or if you're like, I want to know if Kate has made her own, you could go to Kate's and see what Kate has running. But if you want to know what just you have running, you need to scope it to yourself. Where did I go? Other. And see what I have running, if that makes sense.
And when we get to actually making campaigns, you got to be careful if you are an admin that you're creating it at the right scope because
Mhm.
any campaign that an admin creates, they could potentially create it at the company level, which will then waterfall down into those other entities like agents and teams. So, not to get ahead of ourselves, but
Yep. Okay. So we could go into making campaigns and we'll make campaigns later in the month. But what we're going to do you need to turn off company templates campaigns? Yes. So if you have a company, if you have let's go to system. Let me just show you. These are my campaigns that are in Heather, right? I have the system campaigns that are scoped to me. And I also have the system campaigns that are scoped to company. I don't want my system prospect buyer company one turned on and my personal one also turned on because they have the same trigger. And so they would both run together. And we don't want that. So if you're making your own, just go ahead and toggle off your company campaigns. And then you're going to toggle on your campaigns once we edit them. Okay? Am I losing people? Kelly?
Nope. We
Okay.
are kind of we're a little bit all over. We've got quite a few questions that are coming in about how do I delete campaigns? How do I organize them? How do I keep campaigns that are outdated? How do I delete them to stay organized? Um,
Hmm.
and but
Yeah.
I do want to answer one question from Erin about because she is an admin. As
Okay.
an admin in the company scope, if I turn off a campaign, can an agent still see it and turn it on if they want to? Or does it
Yes.
delete it?
Yes. You can, well, the agent can turn it on and they can see it. They cannot delete it. The only way to delete a company campaign is an admin has to delete it from the whole company. So if you're an
So,
agent and you're seeing all these company campaigns and you don't want them in there, I'm so sorry. There's really no way to get rid of them. However, what I do is I always sort them by scope because this is an alphabetical situation. So if you sort them by scope, if I flip it again, the company ones are first. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to turn off my company ones, right? But then if I sort again by scope, it's going to show me my user ones first.
and if
So
you don't
maybe
see
it's
that
worth looking at
column there, you can click on that columns button right
it.
above where she's at. And because that allows you to kind of organize that view that you're
Hmm.
in. Make sure that that's turned on. Scope.
So if you added a campaign that you didn't mean to or you want to delete it, if it's scoped to user, you can delete it. Just go in, click it, remove campaign right here. That's how you delete the campaign. Okay? Okay.
And there's only three scopes, right? There's company, team, and
Company, team,
agent.
and user, I think.
And user, which is agent. I say agent, but it's user.
Okay. So here are actually I'm gonna do system so I get them up and I want to make sure I have them scoped to user so I can show you. Okay. So these are the system campaigns that we have. And I'm just going to walk you through how they work because if you're going to edit them, it's important to know how they work. Um, can everybody see my screen okay?
Well, your head's blocking the last two at the bottom, but
But yeah.
other than that, yeah.
Okay. So, the way that this works is you have a default buyer campaign and a default seller campaign. These two campaigns are for new leads, so the status has to be new lead, and then they also have to be a buyer. They're going to get the default buyer campaign. Same thing with default new lead seller. They have to be a new lead and they have to be a seller. They're going to get the system default seller campaign. I'm going to click into the buyer and show you kind of what I was talking about before. We have that immediate text message that goes out. We have some tasks that we have already built in. And the last day, this is a 30-day campaign, we are going to switch them to prospect from new lead because they're not new anymore. They are a prospect. They're 30 days old. They're not new. Okay. So we also have those calls that I talked about, right? Those are all in here. You can one by one go in and edit these, which we're going to do in a second. But before we do that, I want to explain the rest of the campaigns. So, I have this in here about 100 times now, don't I? Let's see, scope. Okay, so that's the new lead one is default buyer. Actually, I'm going to make this bigger. Uh, okay, so the next one that we have is this switches it. Remember, this switches it to prospect. It will automatically kick off the prospect buyer and seller campaigns where they have to be a buyer and prospect or seller and prospect. And this will last the rest of the year. So between the system prospect, seller, or buyer and the default, you're covered for 365 days. Unless they respond to you, right? The whole point of this is to get a response. And we have automation in the platform that unless you've turned it off, it's defaulted on, that if they respond in any way, they will automatically be switched to active lead. Their status will switch to active lead. At that point, Whether they're new or they're prospect, they don't meet these criteria anymore because they're not new and they're not prospect. So what will it do? It will turn on the active campaigns. These are not campaigns really, they are, but it's really a task. It says, hey, this person talked to you, respond to them, find out what they need, put them on a better campaign, set up your next action, whatever. So we don't want to switch them to active lead and not tell you about it. So this campaign tells you about it, but it's not really giving them any outreach. It's just telling you, hey, this person's active. We can't switch them to something else because we don't know what they said to you. So that's really, you want to tailor whatever responses based on what they said to you. Okay. And that's basically all that it is. There's a closed one for closed people. There's an open house one if you're using the open house app, but that flow right there is what you want to remember. New lead for 30 days. They don't talk to you. They get automatically switched to prospect. This runs for a year. At the end of that one, you'll get an alert saying they're not on a campaign anymore. If at any time that they're new or prospect and they respond to you, any incoming text, incoming call, incoming email, the system will switch them to active lead automatically. It will switch to these campaigns, which is just one task telling you, hey, sorry, this person talked to you. You need to switch them to something else and you need to respond. I'm going to pause here before we get into customization. Kelly, any questions so far that we need to answer?
Yeah. Sorry, I was busy typing away. We did have a hang on, I'm just going to say I'm going to answer this live. We did have somebody who asked if any of our sessions are available in Spanish. The answer is not at this time. However, remember that we do place these videos on YouTube, so you can go back and watch the replay and change the subtitles to another language. So just as an FYI, if that's a helpful for you. I know we had a couple people ask that. And same goes with the campaigns. They
Well,
are not available in secondary languages. You'd have
they're
to.
not, but what I'm going about to show you on making them your own, you could do the same thing with the AI prompt and say, hey, write them in Spanish.
Mhm.
So
Oh,
don't worry
wow.
about that. You could totally do that.
Hey,
All right.
Heather. Sorry to
Yes.
interrupt. I see a question out there from Todd about the yes, no button right there in the right column. Could you explain that to Todd?
The always run.
Yep.
Always run means that it will run concurrently. So if you have a campaign that is already running, and then the trigger happens for another campaign, if always run is set to no, the campaign will not run. So you've got a running campaign, you meet the criteria for a second campaign. If that second campaign says no, it will not run. If that second campaign says yes, it will run on top of it. Okay? Do we
And
see
the
the button
rule
to
of
yes and no?
thumb, yeah, and to that, the rule of thumb is you typically don't want multiple campaigns running side by side because that's a lot of outreach going out that could potentially have conflicting communication in it. But I do love the fact that that option is there because you might have a campaign that is maybe just task based. There's no outreach going out um, to your contacts associated with that campaign, but then you always have a specific just task-based campaign that you want to turn on that's task reminders for you. You could do that, or maybe it's a date-based campaign like a holiday campaign that you're like, oh yeah, I don't care, I want to have this holiday campaign going out. It doesn't matter what campaign they're on, I still want to send them a happy 4th of July or Merry
Exactly.
Christmas type communication, because you can send date-based campaigns as well.
Yep. So right here is where you turn that always run off and on. So it's inside of the campaign. You click in, you hit edit, scroll down, always run right there.
General rule of thumb, usually no. I always just ask myself, is this something that I would want to go out at the same time as another campaign?
Yep. Okay. So I would like everybody to make sure they have at least their default buyer system campaign in there. And let's find it. Act defaults. Oh, put these in too many times. Where am I at? System. I need user. There we go. Their system default buyer. Today we are going to change out your default buyer campaign. So everybody click in there. And as you can see, if it's scoped to you as a user or you're an admin, you should be able to edit it. So if you open it up, you can see that this is what it says. Super generic. It's vanilla. Like I said, we had to make it work for everybody. I want it to work for you. I took the liberty, and if you're watching this on YouTube, so sorry you don't get this. You have to come live for it. Um, I'm going to give you guys this doc. I'm going to put it in uh, put it in the chat. This doc looks like this. I'm going to bring it over. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can still get this information right out of your campaign right here. I took the liberty, did the legwork. I copied and pasted every email and text message out of that campaign and put it in this so that you can run an AI query just for you. Okay? So here's what we're going to do. This guy right here, pull this over, is an AI prompt. So right here, it says, I want you to copy and paste this into the AI, and then afterwards paste your buyer campaign in. But before you do that, you've got to give it some information. So what's your team name? What's your name? What's your team name? What's your niche? What's your area? What kind of a tone of voice do you want it to use when it's writing this for you? Give it some local highlights, local parks, top rated schools, options, things that make sense. Like, remember we talked about putting local information into these is going to really help this out. What we really want to do is we want to make sure that we put some of that information in for the AI to work with. And also like your core value proposition. What do you do for these people, right? What is your niche? What is your value to them? Is it that you know the market really well? Is it that you specialize in downsizing? What is it that you care about that you do? And we'll be able to work that in. Okay?
Hey, Heather, did you already pop the that resource doc with that chat in there?
I did, but you can do it again.
Okay. Just want to make sure that we're clear that I just put it in chat. This is the resource document that's available to everybody. And then the actual smart campaign is on a separate doc. So there's two of them.
Yep. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I already took this example. So I live in West Linn, Oregon. I'm all about people selling their home in Portland and they want to leave and they want to move to the Portland suburbs. And my location is Portland, Oregon, and the surrounding metro suburbs. And I listed out some of the suburbs that I care about and that I work in. I just went with what the AI said, a warm, approachable, conversational tone of voice, but whatever. Here's some local highlights I did to weave in, and I did my core value proposition. And if you're unsure what those are, you can talk to the AI and say, hey, give me some examples of core value propositions that I could be using. This is what I talk about. This is me. Like, just barf on it and just be like, here's what I have. And it will tell you those things. It knows, right? So I'm going to see where it says paste your generic email template here. Oh, one last thing. No, wait, hang on. Okay, yep, we're gonna paste it here. So I'm gonna take this, copy it down. This is gonna be magical, guys. Watch this. Copy, paste. I'm gonna copy the entire thing. Copy it. Let me go to Gemini. And I'm just gonna paste it in. And
So just to clarify, for those of you that are following along, the purpose of what Heather's doing right now is she is taking the existing default campaigns that we already have, because she did that homework for you. She put it all in a nice one-page doc. She just simply select all copied, and she's running it through Gemini or ChatGPT. If you have Claude, use that, whatever AI tool you use. And she's basically using the prompt that she provided you to say, hey, without changing all this stuff, rewrite it so that it's, I don't even know what the prompt is, but it's, so it's more natural in tone, or it's similar, blah, 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 or it's specific to your area, your area. This is what's going to make it local to you so that those campaigns are a little bit more personalized. Now, you could cut through that and do it all yourself, but that's a lot of legwork. And I love ChatGPT for this. So
All
Hey,
right.
Heather, or if I could jump in, Maria had a question. I thought it would be a good time to answer it since we're talking AI, and she wanted to know how do we connect BoldTrail to AI?
When you're making templates, you can use the AI assistant, but the reason I did it this way is because I wanted to keep the integrity of the entire campaign so you wouldn't have to build it all from scratch. So when you're, sending an email, we have the AI assistant. Like if I'm sending an email to somebody, you can use the smart assistant right here to write whatever you want. But I did it this way because I don't want you to have to, there is no email, there is no smart assistant when you're editing in line in the campaigns. So I thought it would be much easier if we do it this way and just talk to whatever AI provider you love. Um, and don't forget, Streams has AI attached to, but not for this. Okay, where am I at? Marketing, smart campaigns. Okay, so I'm going to do system. Let me get back to my system default buyer one. My user one, which is right here. Okay, so if you recall, here's this. It gave me this spit out. So it says, "Hi, first name Heather here with Dreamy Real Estate. Saw you're browsing homes in the Portland area. Are you hoping to stay close to the city or exploring the surrounding suburbs? Copy." Now I'm going to go here and I'm going to click edit. How much better does that sound than I saw you're browsing real estate listings, right? Like the response rate you're going to get from doing this, it's going to take you guys a hot second to do this. I understand it, but this will pay great dividends to the future. And all you have to do is paste that in. Now you will have to give it a new template name because the old template, is a system template that's in there for you. You're going to have to rename it. And here's a little trick. Always, always, always put your initials in whenever you're naming something because you'll never find it again otherwise. There are so many templates in here that if you don't remember what you named something and you don't put some kind of naming convention on it, like Kelly was talking about before, to just pull up the ones that you've made, you probably won't find it. So this might be new buyer text day one or whatever you want to call it, right? And this stuff's already made for you. So run immediately, agent, like all the other settings are already done. You're just changing out what it says. So you don't have to rebuild. You just have to go in and change what it says and you just hit save.
I think where people were getting a little confused was like which doc had which. So I'm just summarizing it again in the chat. So you're going to use the resource doc that
So
has
the
the prompt in it,
resource
and you're going to
doc
use,
has the prompt.
yep.
So go ahead. If I were you, I would take this and I would copy it onto a new document for yourself and go fill this stuff in, which is what I did right here. I'm not giving this to you. This is me filling it out myself. And I put in all the information that I cared about for my area. And then I copy and pasted from all this is the new buyer campaign copy that I copied and pasted over for you guys. So you didn't have to go into each individual one and do it yourself. Okay. Okay. So now here is hour 5, email 1, edit. Let's see what the AI told me. Oh, you know what I didn't do with this? Oh, that was a text. So this one, it says, okay, now I can pick, it gave me, I did this on purpose. I put this in the prompt. Pick the subject line that you like the best. It's going to give you 3 subject lines, right? I like this one because it puts the name of the person who signed up in the subject line for you. Okay, so I'm going to take that And I'm going to go change the subject line to this. I am going to go back and change. This says, hi, I'm Heather Bowden, your local neighbor and Portland area expert. Whether you're craving quiet backyard in the Westland or keeping your commute to the Portland Management, I'm here to help you navigate it all. Um, are you looking for space in the suburbs? Or are you looking to stay closer to the city? Just let me know what's top of mind, right? How much better is that than just, you know, can I send some properties your way? So I'm going to paste it in there, right? And then I need to do the template name. So HB, uh, new buyer, day one, And this is already set for you. Maybe you want to run it immediately instead of hour 5. You could change that if you wanted to. And then you just hit save changes. You leave that call in there. They're not going to see that call. That's just for you. Day 3, I'm going to do one more of these. I'm not going to do them all, but day 3 is that text. Quick check-in. Are you thinking about buying your first place, selling in Portland, or making a jump to the burbs? Which is it? Copy. Oh, sorry, this is day 3. No, my bad. Day 3 text. Right here. Paste. And my template name is HB New Buyer Day 3. Okay? And then you just go down the list and you just change it out. I mean, I could do this in a half an hour, really. Okay? And the other thing I would really like you to do is once you've done it, click edit and go into the set details and just change this. So this could be customized, actually, HB. So I know it's mine. Customized, or whatever you want to say. Of course, spelling it is also important. Customized system default buyer. Why? Because I wanted to know this is the one I want to use. I customized this. I made it mine. This is the one for me. So I don't have 8 system default buyers in there or whatever. I know this is mine. And maybe I do want it to always run. I can hit yes. And I can hit next and make sure it's correct. And I finish it. So, really want everybody to make sure that you do that.
So Heather,
We
can I
have
jump in?
questions.
We
Because I
do.
have, okay.
We do. Everybody was so impressed and loved the technique about using your prompt to recreate and revise the content and copy. They loved it so much. They're like, I want to do this for my seller campaign. I want to do it for all the campaigns. Where am I going to get the resource doc that already has them already printed out for me? So Heather, you want to break the bad news or you want to walk them through how they can do that?
Yeah, guys, I didn't do it for all of them. But you can. Like, honestly, all you have to do is go into your campaigns and go to, let's find it, system, all seller.
But
All
I
I
love this because this means that everybody's going to go in and update their campaigns.
Yes. All you have to do is hit edit and just get out of Google Doc and start copying. That's all I did is I copy and pasted over everything over into the Google Doc. That's what I did. So you guys can do that for all your other campaigns. The bonus was I did the work, I did the legwork for you for that first buyer campaign. So that was my little gift for you. Okay. Um, Now, if we don't have any more questions, I want to do one other thing. Do we have
We
any?
did have one question from Jesse,
Okay.
which I want to make sure I answer because I want to make sure it's answered correctly. Jesse says, hey, I have a Facebook funnel with a 7-day automation,
Mhm.
and I put new contacts in BoldTrail, but I don't want to mark them as a new lead because it does the core default buyer campaign.
Mhm.
So it sounds like he's got his own smart campaign going. So, what do you recommend that he does to make sure that the right leads are getting on the right campaign from this Facebook funnel that he's already built in?
Um, so if you have a face, so if you have a lead source that you have a specific campaign for, and then you have all your other new leads, right? What you can do is you can go in and edit. So let's say this one is for that Facebook. This is the Facebook one you have. Whatever trigger you have for it, let's say it's a source, or let's say it's the hashtag, that would be your trigger for that one. But let's say you don't want your new lead one to run for that particular source. You can always go in and edit the one you don't want to run and just add a trigger of source is not, let's say Facebook. So if your source is Facebook and you don't want that new lead buyer one to run for those Facebook leads, just edit your new lead buyer for the status to be not Facebook or
And this is
not.
the new lead buyer, the system campaign. So
Right.
what you're saying is, hey, I want this campaign to be used when the status is new lead, but I don't want it to apply to any of my leads that come where the source is Facebook.
Right.
You just have to make sure that your source is coming in that matches the value there in the field.
And it doesn't even have to be source. It could be hashtag. Like if you're running the ad and they're coming in, you set the ad up with a squeeze page that has a hashtag attached. It could be so hashtag is not whatever. And that will exclude it from your new lead campaign. Okay. All right. We have 10 minutes and I really want to get to this last part because I think it's so important. I know where I said I was talking about campaigns, but we have behavioral automation in the platform, you guys. And that's important too. And it's important to customize those things as well. So this is a huge stat right here, okay? Automated behavior triggered emails based on user activity. So saved property searches, coming back to the website, what our behavioral automations do, generate 320% more revenue and 50% new leads. Guys, this is huge. And our system does it for you. But again, it's cookie cutter. It's generic. We had to make it work for everybody. All right. So if you go into your marketing and you go into your behavioral automation all the way down here, whenever your leads do one of these things, we're going to send them a text. And if they don't have a good text, a good phone number, we're going to send them an email. How much better would it be if the text we send or the email we send comes from you personally in your area and your information instead of, what does it say? Something like, thanks for visiting our site again. Areas/property types. What? Right? Like it's cookie cutter. Here is your next prompt. All right. After this line, this is exactly the same as this. So once you've filled this out, like your niche, all that good stuff, you can paste that here. And then we're asking it to write behavioral automation. So I'm going to copy this. And you don't even have to, unlike the campaigns, you don't have to have the copy. You're just asking it. I already wrote this stuff all out for you guys, what it does. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go to another tab. I'm going to put this in. And this part I already did for my campaign. So I'm just going to copy it and overwrite this part because I already gave it that information. Now I'm going to take all this and I'm going to put it into Gemini. And here it is. So trigger 1, lead revisits after 14 days. Hey, it's Heather with Dreamy Real Estate. Saw you're back checking out the Portland area homes today. Do you spot any suburbs or neighborhoods that caught your eye? How much better is that than what was in there before? So if I copy it, I go here, I go to that text, I'm gonna hit edit, and I'm just gonna rename it. I'm just gonna put that in there, and I gotta give it a new template, HB revisit behavioral automation.
This is where those naming conventions come in.
Right? HB, yep. right?
HB, Heather Bowden. Make sure
Okay.
that you put something in there that you remember what it's called.
Right. And that's going to save it. So now they're going to get that instead of the default. Same thing with the email. The email only goes out if we don't have a good text message number for them. So good to see you back. First name. Yeah. Edit. And hi, first name. Hope you're having a great week. Blah, blah, blah. The Portland metro area. Thinking about a move to suburbs or just browsing for fun. Copy. Paste. Gotta name it. HB. Um, lead visit behavioral automation, save. And you can go through and do that. We got 4 minutes left. We can go ahead and do that for each one of these. Doing this, heck, I do this before I might even do my campaigns, people, because you are going to be able to give them personalized um, responses when they do things that are automated. And why? Because of that stat right there. Okay, that's so huge to be able to do this and make it work for you. Make sure your behavioral automations are turned on and make sure that they're personalized to you and it will pay dividends, I promise you. Okay, I made it. 4 minutes left. Let's answer any outstanding questions.
Okay, just as a reminder, there was two sections of BoldTrail that were covered today. One was Heather showed the smart campaigns that live in your marketing section under smart campaigns. And she also is showing right now the behavioral automations. Behavioral automations are a series of either text messages or emails that go out. It is part of outreach, but they only happen if your leads do something interesting on your website. They have to have exhibited one of these behaviors. They're not part of the smart campaigns. There's a set of exclusive behavioral automations. This is also the automations that are part of your Streams app. So just so you know, but I digress. But what she's saying here is to make sure that you come in here and personalize them. Now, what I also recommend doing is put a little task reminder on your calendar to update these every, I don't know, what would you say, Heather? Every quarter, every 6 months, at least once a year, so that you've
Mhm.
got fresh new content because you want to keep that content fresh because if somebody comes back and revisits your website again after 14 days, you might want it to have some fresh new outreach to them.
Yep. And I had a couple of questions about in-person sessions with just one-on-one, and that is what my one-on-one sessions are for. So I'm going to copy this link and I'm going to put it in the chat. If you want to book a one-on-one session with me, get an hour with me and we'll do everything we can together. I can run this prompt for you. We can talk through, your value propositions and all that good stuff and what the best thing is to do for it. Please go ahead and use that link to schedule in with me. I would love to see you one-on-one. It'd be super fun.
Somebody did ask if in these behavioral automations that can a user or an admin or anybody go into the back end and change the rules around these behaviors. For example, maybe they have a English speaking customer. They want to get the English version of the text or email, and then they want to create maybe a Spanish version or another second language. Can they go in and change the behaviors and the rules behind it?
No, I'm sorry, you can't. You cannot.
But you could go
Um,
in and edit it to have a English and then it have it in Spanish underneath it. So you could do
you
that.
could,
That could
but the
be,
text message would be hard because you have a character limit on it.
that's true.
Um,
You don't want them to be really long anyway.
right. Yeah. All right, cool. Anything else before we log?
Um, let's just make sure that I just want to share that link over for your one-on-one sessions one last time. Had a couple people
Uh,
asking for it.
Beatrice, yes, there is a cost for
Yeah.
that. You have to pay for it.
Yes, it is.
Um,
There is a cost because, the sessions that Heather runs, these breakthrough live sessions we welcome everybody. They're general sessions. Everybody is welcome. But if you want to do book a one-on-one time, that is a paid experience. And all that information is listed in the marketplace under one-on-one help.
Yep. Actually, well, that's interesting. Yeah. Or you can use this as the direct form to sign up to. There you go. Okay, cool. Well, we are right at our time. I'm so excited that I just would love a thumbs up or a heart if you're planning on changing out your campaigns in the next week or so. I'd love to. Yay! Okay, it's a huge thing, guys.